with Tim Gilbert and Julie Snook. This is Racing Dreams.
Oh, and they do come true. We always say it's a show you cannot afford to miss. Jules, how are you?
I'm well, Timmy. I'm well. Good morning to you. We have another big day of racing coming up here in Sydney. There's a little bit of cloud around, but I tell you what, Rose Hill Gardens is where you want to be today. It's going to be sensational.
Yeah, soft 5, I think. Soft 5 there or thereabouts. Let's have a look at what's coming up on the show.
Alrighty, coming up this morning, has another Everest contender been confirmed? Well, stick around. We'll have more details soon.
Annabelle Neesham, what brought her to Australia and what's kept her here since? We speak with the Group 1 winning trainer as part of our Women in Racing series.
And is J-Mac the secret weapon as It's Me attempts to become the first horse to win the Kosciuszko twice? We're live to trainer Brett Kavanagh this morning.
We've got to jam it all into an hour. Of course, Zaki tomorrow in the Underwood. It's a huge weekend of racing. We'll talk to Annabelle a little later on. But the first of Rose Hill Gardens' biggest spring races takes place today with the $1 million Group 1 Shandon Golden Rose.
And joining us now is trainer Gary Portelli, and I think it's his favourite lady in the stables as well. Good morning to you, Gary.
Good morning, team. How are we?
How are you, and how is Fireburn? She's looking very relaxed.
She's a cool dude, aren't you, baby, hey? Yeah, she's in great order and makes my job a lot easier when you've got these good horses that just turn up on the day and do their best. And hopefully today we have a bit of luck.
Well, of course, it didn't have everything, she didn't have everything her way in the Golden Slipper and managed to win it. Things aren't going to be perfect today from a wide gate, but who's to say she can't show what she showed a little earlier in the year?
Yeah, look, her run the other day was really good, and the run of the Rose, she ran home strongly from the back of the pack, and just the way the race was run, it was impossible for her to win. The big 1400 today at Rose Hill, and the 1400 suits her. She's going to have to pull out a Golden Slipper run again, I think, to win today, so the pressure's on us. But we've got her fit, she's ready to go, and we'll certainly take any luck that comes our way.
Of course, stablemate Sajardin jumps from 8 as well. How's he looking?
He's looking really, really well. He's going to take up a more forward position today from the good barrier, so he'll give himself every chance. Hopefully he gets into a good spot, and he'll be there right at the finish because he's a very, very good colt. I've got no doubt that he will be very competitive in this race today as well. So she doesn't like me talking about him. Look at her. It's hard to take favours, like your kids, you don't want to be to saying one's better than the other, but either one will be fine. I said that before the Slipper, actually. I thought one of them would win, and she was just too good on the day. But there's not much between the two horses, so it's lovely to have two great chances in such a big race. And
the track looks pretty good. There was so much rain predicted to Sydney, it didn't really come. So we're still in that soft 5, soft 6 range.
Yeah, look, it's not the track that we were looking for hers, particularly with that barrier. We're hoping that if it got really heavy, she'd be able to get to the outside or wherever the track was playing and find the line. She is a very, very good wet tracker, so being that she's on top of the ground, we'll be watching the races leading up to her race to see if there's a better lane to go through, and I'm sure Brett Nevdalla will be right on his game come race 8 this afternoon. And the other horse, Sajardin, I think he's better on top of the ground, so I think a firmer track certainly won't hurt his chances. So we've got two great chances, and it comes down to some luck in running because it's a very, very strong race. It'd be a proper 3-year-old that wins today.
Yeah, Brenton speaks so highly of Fireburn. He's just got such a connection with her. And an interesting stat as well, only one filly has won this race, and that was 2008 Slipper winner Forensic. So today 4 fillies are lining up. Could be yours, it could be one of the 3 others. What do you make of the fillies in the race?
Look, the last few years, the fillies have dominated Slippers. They've been really dominant through most of the best horses, Winks, etc. The mares are the best horses lately. So hopefully this girl can take the next level. And it's a statistic that we all know that Golden Slipper winners don't often go on with the job at the next preparation, and not many Golden Slipper winners come out and win the Golden Rose. So the stats are against her, and then they went and gave us the outside barrier. So lots against her today. But if you watch the Golden Slipper, there's a lot against her that day, and she absolutely bolted in. So, I never give up on this girl, because every time you think that she's probably found the race where she won't be competitive in, she makes a fool of me in the right way. So she can do it today, I'm happy.
How has she changed your life, bud. Look, your story started in the country and you battled your way. Your family helped you in the early days of your training career. How much has that Golden Slipper changed things for you?
Well, it's hard enough to win once, but when you win it twice, it's like you get that recognition that you need. I've been doing this for a long time. I came down to Sydney in 1996 and toiling away. I wasn't lucky enough to have a father as a trainer and didn't take over a business. I had to do it the hard way. I had to get a loan for $10,000 so I could buy shavings and feed the horses and bed them down. So I did it the tough way. My family were right behind me. We worked really hard to get to where we're at now. So recognition's what it's all about. I've never been one that chases money, because I always say that if you have any success, the money will be there. So for me, it's all about getting great results from my owners, having people enjoy the day, enjoy the whole process of owning a racehorse and getting to this level. It's just an amazing situation once you get here. You take it for granted once you've got them sometimes, but it's just an amazing feeling that we've been able to accomplish something we started from below the ground, really, having to get an overdraft to pay for things, and then having a filly like this in the stables won $4 million nearly in prize money. She's probably worth $4 million herself now as a broodmare. So it's you've got to pinch yourself sometimes.
Is it always this relaxed and this calm on a big race day, Gary? Because you're looking very at ease there as this filly of yours.
Yeah, look, I find that, and I'd learnt this very early. My mum, she was a trainer herself. We were out in the bush, and one day I had a horse in a maiden at Cowra. It's amazing these things you remember. And I got really nervous because we were having some money on it. And she said, "Go away from the horse. You're nervous, and the horse will pick up on it. So get away from the horse, otherwise you're going to do your money." And I remember that day. I thought, imagine I've got a Golden Slipper winner. I'm nervous in a maiden at Cowra. If I've got a Golden Slipper run, I'll be a mess. So I had to walk away, regroup, probably had a couple of rums or something, calmed down and came back and saddled up the horse that came out and won. So it was a prophetic moment where she said something. She was a great horse. Well, she is a great horse person. And said horses pick up on all the vibes. And if you're nervous on the day, they'll pick it up. So the best thing is to say you've done your hard work. Everything's been done. Your staff have done their work. The horse is right. Look at her. It's out of my hands now. So, you just let it happen. And sometimes it does. More times it doesn't. But when it does happen, you've got to really enjoy it, though. So if we happen to win tonight, look out.
Yeah, well, your two wins were 5 years apart in the Slipper. Of course, She Will Reign. What was the first one in 2017? What's the difference in these two?
She Will Reign was just a flying machine. Even at track work, she would run phenomenal times, and you just knew after her gallop on Tuesday morning she was going to be hard to beat. She was only beaten once before the Slipper. It was the start before. She was unbeaten. So this girl, though, she's the laziest horse I've ever seen. You can see what she's like. Like, she doesn't care about anything. Yes, okay, right, I don't upset you. But yeah, she's just a freak. She just turns up on race day and she just does things that we do not see at home. So she was the biggest surprise in racing for me was to win a Golden Slipper with a horse that just can get beaten by the worst horses I've got in the stable. And then race day, she just finds plenty. So, you've just got to try them all, they say. Put the colours on and send them around and they can surprise you. And she's been the biggest surprise pack. And another side of it too is I trained her father, which is, also something that's made us very proud, Rebel Dane.
Yeah,
and
of course.
he started off, with only a few. I think he only had about 20 foals the first season that she was born. And he got a Golden Slipper winner, his first season. So he's now got a new home at Widden Stud, and the owners of him are now seeing, foals everywhere now, and hopefully I get a few more just like her.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what, if they ever make a second series of Mr. Ed all these years later, you'll be a stand-up for Wilbur Post. You're outstanding, Gary. You've got an acting career in you.
No peanut butter here for her, that's for sure. She just talks, don't you, baby? Hey? You're a beautiful filly.
Oh, Gary.
She loves the camera.
Gary, it's so good to catch up with you. Thank you for your time this morning. We know it is a big day for you and the team. Wishing you, Sir Jardin, and that beautiful filly Fireburn all the best today.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Cheers, Gazza.
Why aren't I a cameraman? I want to be out there playing with the ponies on race day.
He's a character.
Well, we were wondering how he'd fare after his UK stint, and last week Nature Strip showed why he is the world's best with his first up run in the shorts.
Yeah, I headed out to Randwick, had a great day out there to catch up with two very informed trainers, Björn Baker and Chris Waller, after their extraordinary run in the shorts. Take a look.
Here comes the champ, Nature Strip, taking the lead from Eduardo, clear from Lost and Running, and Nature Strip back on target to defend his Everest title. Nature Strip beat Lost and Running over pass. They beat off Eduardo, then Masked Crusader from Marzu.
He's some sort of champion.
Yeah, he sure is, Tim. He used to just jump and just charge and run as fast as he could and hope that the others would run out of oxygen. And sometimes he would run out as well. He's now learnt that he's got a bit of ring craft, so he can go the full rounds and still be strong at the finish in every race, not just the races that he pinches. So that's been the defining moment in the horse, and we've seen that probably over the last 18 months, in particular the last 6 months. And it's netting him some really big wins, and it was a good field today. It was his first run of the spring, and obviously he's come back from the UK, so a really good starting point.
Yeah, quite phenomenal. And what were you thinking around the 300?
So normally he gets up on the speed and dictates and controls the race. Today he was being controlled. So when he peeled out, it was pretty to watch. Sometimes when the jockey asked him to quicken, it's not always an immediate response, but with him he got there really well. He was chasing down one of the best sprinters in the world in Eduardo, and yeah, he was solid. The last 100 metres, he was really, really good.
Puts him in a beautiful position to head towards the Everest now.
It certainly does. I think in this race, it's never been the strongest race. So yeah, 4 weeks into the Everest, off the back of that, bit of improvement to come. He's really well.
Well, Bjorn Baker, we spoke to you last week. What a day. This has been one of your great days, and you may well have an Everest runner.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic day, and you've got to take the highs and lows, and to do it at Randwick's very special. And no, Overpass went super. That was the big one of the day. We needed him to perform well. There's plenty of pressure going on to this day coming into it, and he really put his hand up to run second behind the best sprinter in the world. And I'm hopeful we can get to the Everest and we can find that length or two that we need to. So really exciting.
You must be happy.
Yeah, thrilled. This is what it's about, and the Everest has really become the benchmark race in Sydney. It's a race everyone wants to get involved, and just having a runner is so hard to get. So hopefully in a month's time we can be back here and win, lose or draw, enjoy a great day and being involved.
Kiss the Bride 2 lengths clear from Grace and Harmony, and Kiss the Bride in his new silks goes back-to-backs in the shootout mile. Beat the favourite Grace and Harmony. Inside, Ita went up. War Eternal bursting through late, but Ita got up to win it. Beat War Eternal and Arnold in third, then Stray. Ita has gone up the inside there. Josh Parr for Bjorn Baker. A race-to-race double for Bjorn Baker. And Ita with a very strong second-up record.
You've had a remarkable day at Randwick.
Great day, and what a great race course. It's the best race course in the world, and I'd be nowhere else. What a great place.
Is this the pinnacle for you to get an Everest runner?
Yeah, it'll be very, very special. I've been involved in the Melbourne Cup, but the Everest is a Sydney race. It's iconic. Everyone wants to be here. It's going to be a marvellous day.
So we're still yet to hear whether Overpass is going to be in. That news may come over the next week or so. And of course, Coolangatta last night in the Moya at the Valley. So Coolangatta could well be mentioned over the next little while as a possible Everest runner.
Well, we only have 21 days until the Everest. So just a reminder, this is how the Everest field is looking so far with 3 weeks to go. Horse of the Year, Nature Strip, lines up for the Chris Wallace slot. 2021 runner-up Masked Crusader will again run for Maxie Whitby and Neil Barrett.
Yeah, Tab, as we know, have supported John O'Shea again with Lost and Running, and Lost and Running was very good in the shorts. 9-year-old Eduardo will saddle up for a third time in the Everest, representing Yulong Investment.
Arrowfield and the Star have backed Marzu for the next 2 Everest campaigns. I think that is a sensational move. And the 6-year-old mare Snap Dancer, trained by Kieran Meyer and David Eustace, will line up for Inglis.
OK, so now in terms of who remains, we haven't heard from Coolmore, Godolphin, James Harron, Bloodstock, James Kennedy, Aquis, and of course with no Classic legend now, Bon Ho has to come up with a decision of who will run. So a lot of cards yet to hit the table, and we're only a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, 3 weeks to go. So we'll have a chat to Brad Gray at the end of the show as well in terms of Everest slot hold as potential runners. He tipped a few weeks ago, actually, that we didn't expect to see a full field until potentially the week of. We've seen that in the first couple of years of the Everest. Could be that same way again this year. Well, stay with us. Coming up, our Women in Racing series continues with a spotlight on Group 1 winning trainer Annabelle Neesham and how she plans to take spring glory. Welcome back. You're watching Racing Dreams. The Everest Carnival moves to Rose Hill Gardens today with the $1 million Group 1 Golden Rose as the feature.
Sydney trainer Mark Newnham, well, he left school early. He got special permission to leave school early because he loved racing that much. Isn't that true, Mark? Tell us that story.
Yeah, Tim. I was 15. I only had one thing on my mind, and that was to work in racing. I went on work experience into the school holidays at Randwick, but I cleaned out my desk before I left. I had no intention whatsoever of going back, and I'm pleased I spent those extra couple of years at work rather than at school.
Just a little bit of incentive for some of the school leavers out there as we approach the end of the academic year.
Because I know your mum and dad had to have a special meeting with the principal at Holy Cross Ride so you could get away. But I tell you what, you've kicked hard like one of your winners.
Well, it was a matter of I had to, because I'd already cleared the desk, and once I made that decision, there was no turning back. And I know what Dad's like, so it was, if you're going to do this, you got to do it, with everything you got. So it's been great. I haven't regretted one bit.
And rightly so. Well, you have several chances today, including the Heritage Stakes and the Golden Pendant. First of all, let's talk about Expat. Second up in today's Golden Pendant over 1,400 metres. How is this mare looking?
Yeah, really happy with her. She needed the run first up, and she's come on well. She's had a trial since then. Her work was strong on Tuesday morning. She gets back to her favourite track, distance. She's already a Group 2 winner at Rose Hill, so I'm expecting a good showing today.
Where can she get to, this horse? I know you've sort of adjusted things in the way that you've trained her.
Oh, look, I'd love for her to, we'll win today, firstly, and then end up in one of our new races called the Invitation, which is 1,400 metre mares only race, and that's at Randwick, and invitation only, 12 runners, $2 million, so that'd be a nice target for her. But first things is to get today out of the way. She goes there in good form. Probably love a shower of rain or two prior to race time. That will increase her chances.
Well, you might just be in with some luck today, because I think there are some showers about. Just on the Invitation, what are your thoughts on all these new races? It seems every season we talk to you, there's new races that come out in between. We've got more prize money. All of a sudden, you've got all these interstate arrivals coming down here to New South Wales, because there's just so much on offer across what is now an exceptionally rewarding long spring campaign.
Oh, look, I think for any participant, whether you be the trainer, the jockey or the owner, there's a lot of incentive to race horses in Sydney, and, there's a really good return for horses across the board. Previously, we had big prize money in very few races, and a lot, we were very centred around 2-year-olds in Sydney. But in the last couple of years, most of our new races are for older horses, so it keeps horses in training for longer, including mares that would go to stud or colts that would go to stud. Anamo's a good example of that. Instead of going to stud this year, he's racing on for another year. So that is good for racing. It's horses that the public know. So, that's good for turnover, and turnover is what drives our prize money. So to have these races and to have them funded, we need turnover, and nothing helps that more than good horses being in work. And, there is an incentive for horses, to stay in work longer now.
I can see a little bit of synergy in your chance in the last race today. Of course, a very fine red goes very well after you've got out in the Get Out Stakes. And I know that Brad Gray's got it in his list as well.
Look, she's a good mare. Loves the 1100. Good draw for Rose Hill 1100. Inside draws are terrific. She trialled very well first time out this preparation. I wasn't quite happy with the way she finished off in a second trial, so I gave her an extra couple of weeks before running her. She's pretty close to her top now. Her form last preparation, last time in, she ran third behind Marzu first up, and then she finished second to Zapateo. So some really good stakes class horses. So from a good draw, Tyler's riding very well, gets the benefit of his claim. It should set her up nice for a couple of races later this preparation.
Big Parade, he's had a minor setback through the week, delaying his spring return. What's the latest there?
Yeah, look, he worked nicely this morning. I expect that he'll be ready to run first up in the Sydney Stakes. Race he won last year. Unfortunately, last year it was only worth $500,000. This year it's worth $2 million. So I hope I haven't missed the boat there. But look, he's a high-class sprinter. He's got very good first-up form. So I'm confident of him going into a race of that calibre first up. He was only narrowly beaten, as we can see there on the screen, unfortunately, in the Galaxy first up last preparation. And his preparation before that, he ran a track record first up. So he's very much a first up performer. It's just about a matter of getting him fit and well and be able to perform at his best.
Well, you were going to have him in the Moira at the Valley last night. Coolangatta's gone ahead and won that. What do you think? Do you think Coolangatta will be picked up for the Everest by one of many slot holders still available over the, only 2 weeks to go?
Oh, look, you'd think she's put a name right there. Look, 1,000 metres at Moonee Valley from barrier 1 with 50 kilos is a fair bit different to the pressure that will be applied in the Everest. Those hard-headed geldings, Nature Strip and Eduardo, and the couple of up-and-comers, Lost and Running and Marzu. Different ball game there.
What do you think of this Everest field so far? As Timmy said, only half the field has been announced, 6 slots to go, 3 weeks until the big race.
Oh, look, you wouldn't get a better group of sprinters anywhere in the world in one race. I mean, we had a little taste of that last Saturday. And, from a point of view of a trainer who didn't have a runner in last week's shorts, it was certainly everyone's eyes were glued to the TV, whether you had an interest in the race or not, because everyone likes to see high-class horses.
And you've got other good horses at the moment, haven't you, Mark, that are not particularly racing today, but could do some good things over the next few weeks?
Yeah, I trialled 2 of them yesterday. Marcellate, he's a really good staying 3-year-old. He ran very well in the Ming Dynasty over 1,400 metres a couple of weeks ago at Rose Hill, and I'd be interested to see how that form translates into today's Golden Rose. But he trialled yesterday, and he'll go straight into the Gloaming Stakes, 1,800 at Randwick in a fortnight, and that'll be his lead-up run to the Spring Champion Stakes, which this year, has gone up to $2 million. So, look, I think he'll be a realistic chance come Spring Champion Day. And a lovely little horse I trialled yesterday called Dragonstone. He'll most likely kick off in Melbourne, a 1,000-metre race on Caulfield Cup Day. He's an owner's dream. If ever an owner wanted a horse, and you came up with Dragonstone, you'd be more than happy. He's had 12 starts, 11 times in the first 3, so he never runs badly. Just looking to crack it now into a little bit better grade. He finished his preparation with a win at listed level, and it's now time for him to make that jump into group class. And look, I think he's got the talent to do so.
All right, Mark.
Mark Noonan, always lovely to see you. Thank you for your time this morning. All the best with today's runners as well.
Anytime, guys. Thank you.
Stay at school for others. That was just a story.
That's the takeaway message. Don't leave the classroom just yet.
Yeah.
Well, we've been introducing you to some remarkable women in racing this spring, and it's hard to ignore the success and the story of Group 1 winning trainer Annabelle Neesham.
Yeah, I always love going to Warwick Farm. Annabelle had planned to stay in Australia for just a year. That was 6 years ago. She's since fallen in love with the country and with our racing.
I've loved horses since I was a young girl. I've always had ponies and basically had an obsession with them. That'll never leave me. Not every horse in the stable's fast, and they're not all going to win races, but they all mean a lot to me. They're an amazing animal, and the very fact that my hobby and career is with these horses every day is just very special. I grew up with horses, but it wasn't until I got to university. One of my housemates was really interested in it and is actually now training in his own right, but he was the one that ignited my interest. I had a few jobs in England, mainly in the bloodstock side of things. I thought I'd try and be an assistant trainer over there, but everybody kept trying to put me off. So I started to try and think outside the box, and I thought it's such an international industry. I thought I'd spend a year in Australia and then a year in America and see then if I could perhaps get a good assistant trainer's job back in England. But I didn't get any further than my year in Australia has turned it as 6, and I now call it home. I came to Australia, I got a job with Gay Waterhouse. She was the first trainer I worked for here. It was amazing working for Gay Waterhouse and Adrian Bott. Obviously they're one of the leading trainers in Australia, and Gay has been for a long time. So I learnt a lot off her, in particular attention to detail. And then from hers I went to work for Kieran Maher and David Eustace, and that was another great experience. Very different trainers in the way they do things, but both very successful, and probably taught me that there's not one particular way to train. I worked for Kieran Maher for about 4.5 years, but 2 of those were running his Sydney stables. We grew that stable here from just a handful of horses up to 50 horses, and had a great time there. I think the last year I was there we got 5 into the Golden Slipper. The more I was doing it, the more I started to think I'd like to do it for myself at some stage, and it's never an easy time to leave a position like that. It was the best job you could ever hope for as an assistant trainer was working for Kieran, but yeah, I took that leap of faith 2 years ago now, and I'm glad I did it. So far it's going well anyway. This is my first Group 1 winner. Saddling up Mo'unga today. He's a favourite horse of mine. He won me my first Group 1 I think within 7 months of training, which was pretty special. I was very, very lucky to be given him to train. That moment of winning that first Group 1, it was half a feeling of elation and half a feeling of relief, because there was certainly some expectation that he would go and get the job done. He was favourite for that particular race.
Mo'unga, Skylab, it's Mo'unga just in front. It's Mo'unga's Guineas. Mo'unga just beat Skylab, and the filly Montefilia third.
He's a very special horse to me, and hopefully he can win more Group 1s. Zaki's, one of our real stable stars. He's obviously one of the best horses in the country. He's a weight for age champion. He just recently won the middle distance horse of the year in Australia, which was amazing to think we've got sort of champion middle distance horse in our stable. When I first got him, he was, you didn't really notice him in the stable. He kept himself to himself, but as soon as he started winning, he just seemed to have this confidence come over him. J-Mac nicknamed him King Kong, and it sort of stuck. We call him King Kong around the stable a fair bit. You even see him before the races in the mounting yard. He's just got so much presence and so much X factor, and I think that's what makes him so good. He was brilliant on his return last week on a very heavy track.
Zaki clearing the tramway, and he goes back to back. Zaki by 2.5 to Ice Bath.
I never dreamt that I'd have a horse like him ever, let alone so early on in my career. So he's an 8-year-old, but he doesn't seem to be getting any younger, so hopefully he can keep racing on for another couple of years yet. Goals for the spring, it'd be nice to try and get a couple more Group 1 wins to our name if we can. There's some amazing races that Racing New South Wales have put on, the Golden Eagle, the 5 Diamonds, so we'll hopefully have horses aiming for those. I'd love to win one of those races, and I've got 2 very nice 3-year-old colts in Sweet Ride and Swiss Exile, so certainly the Golden Rose is a race I'd love to win.
And of course Zaki and I'm Thunderstruck tomorrow at Sandown. It's a huge day of racing, a huge weekend from yesterday all the way through. Really. Oh, absolutely. Bledisloe, football.
Stay with us because more racing is coming up next, including Daisy Thomas, who's joining us from PointsBet. And the trainer chasing a Cosy double has just received the backing of the nation's best jockey. We'll catch up with him in just a moment. Welcome back to Racing Dreams. The Group 1 $1 million Shandon Golden Rose is on at Rosehill Gardens today.
Let's go to Daisy Thomas from PointsBet, of course, for all the latest markets.
Thanks very much, Tim and Julie. Well, yes, it may be grand final day for a different code south of the border, but in terms of racing grand finals, the Group 1 Golden Rose shapes as an absolute cracker at Rose Hill, with the young star in secret to strut her stuff later in the day. But let's take a look at another feature on the card, race 7. It is the Group 2 Golden Pendant over the 1400. A really even field assembled here for this year's edition, and the PointsBet punters have been happy to back a few. Will J-Mac add another group race to his CV? He's, of course, on Espiona, a race that has eluded him so far. Nimali there, really well found at $5.50, as is star Tonte's the Queensland Invader. The rest of the field, though, double-figure odds or better. So the PointsBet punters a little bit weary of what that weather may be doing. Happy to back a few up the top of the page, but not too sure what to do with the rest of them. The big one, as I mentioned off the top, is the Golden Rose for the 3-year-olds over the 1400, arguably the best 3-year-old race of the Sydney Spring. Now, the last 10 winners have all been colts who have then gone on to stud, or certainly will be going to stud. So no doubt there are some nervous connections before this one. In Secret is your favourite there, $2.70, really well found. Golden Mile at $5.50, Jacquino at $7.50, Fireburn $9, and as you can see again from the 3, 4, 5 favourites there, the rest go out to double-figure odds, with punters not really sure where to look. But it will be In Secret that PointsBet punters have got some real confidence in. The penultimate on the card is the Group 2 Shannon's Handicap over the 1500. This, of course, is a key lead-up race for the Epsom Handicap next week, with the winner being exempt from the ballot. Ellsberg, Old Flame and Surf Dancer. There's a look at a few of the features on what shapes to be an absolutely cracking day of racing up at Rose Hill, and I'm sure it will be interesting to see what sort of role the weather plays. Most of the eyes, as I said, in Victoria will be on the grand final, but we do have a nice day of racing at the picturesque Mornington Racecourse. So before I go, let's have a quick look at one of the features out there, which is the Ansett Classic, a listed race over 2,400 metres on what is a very tight track here at Mornington. Saracen Knight here tops the market at $3.40 in what's a pretty open affair. Impulsor at $4.40, King of the Castle at $6, Harmissi in there at $7. Tiger, well, there'll be no Tiger's getting cheered for today at $9.50, and then $11 the rest of the field. If you are going to have a bet today, jump across to the App Store, download the PointsBet app. We're now featuring the racing.com form analysis on all races. So get expert tips, race previews and form factors on that PointsBet app today. Only takes a minute of your time. You get access to all those markets, including the racing, the grand final and many, many more. As always, please gamble responsibly. Tim, Julie, I couldn't say it last week, but I'll say it this week. Go you mighty Swannies.
Yes.
I love hearing that. Love hearing that. Go Buddy and the gang.
Oh, it's going to be such a cracking day. Well, It's Me is out to become the first horse to win the Kosciuszko twice at Randwick on October 15. Trainer Brett Kavanagh joins us now live from Scone. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, any better we'd be twins, to be honest with you. Every day is a good day, particularly when we're racing at Rose Hill on I think it's going to be a soft 5. Now, you're a step closer to realising a very interesting dream with James McDonald, now confirmed to ride your mighty mare in the Cosy.
Yeah, exactly. It was a pretty numb feeling when she won the first one. And everything's gone planned so far. You know, there's no hype around her. Years gone by, we've been trying to sell our horses and get them in the race. But obviously she's back and flying, and her run in Brisbane was really good, and ticket holders flew at her. So it was pretty easy for her to get her through that. And the other horse, he went about a half hour after a fender. So to have two of my high-class country sprinters in the race is pretty amazing.
Tell us, a race like this, a concept like this, what does it mean to not only you as a trainer, but to the connections, to the slot holders, to get all these people involved here on such a big race day?
Look, unless they go and do a documentary on it, I don't think anybody will actually get the feel of it. You know, say the 12 slot holders and the hundreds and the thousands that bought tickets that missed out. You know, Sydney gets 20 punters in a pub and they win 100 or they win 1,000, and they just say, oh, we'll buy Cosy tickets. That's a dream. We buy Cosy tickets. And the whole concept has just gone kaboom, you know. The prize money's gone. It's a $2 million race for country horses. Just everything about it's exciting, and the lead up and the build up is pretty big. For me this year, I've tried to dodge the media a bit. I've upset a couple of the boys, reporters, but I just want to put my head down and do the job. I've had plenty of media, and obviously you've got to service them guys. They all got a job to do, but just try and keep a lid on it. Be good.
Well, you got your priorities right talking to us, mate.
Absolutely. Well done, Brett.
You're talking to the right people, don't you worry. We'll pass anything you need onto them. There's no problems, brother. Now, look, other great things. I'm heading out to the Bathurst Cup tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. I'm taking a carload. I mentioned to a couple of mates and my brother who wants to come, and they all want to come because people love country racing. But also now with the big dance, the little dance, we mentioned the Kosciuszko, there's other opportunities for you guys to prosper.
Look, I think since Peter V'landys has been in, obviously he's got his knockers for different reasons, but when you sit in a grandstand anywhere in New South Wales and you open up a race program, the prize money's the best in the world. And yes, look, they talk about booms in all other industries. Our racing in New South Wales is everyone else's dream. Everyone wants to come here. You cannot get a stable, from border to border in New South Wales. Everyone's just chock-a-block, and racing's thriving. People are enjoying it. The girls are getting dressed up. There's not a negative anywhere.
Give us a little bit of insight into what the feeling's been like trackside or these country race meets as well, because I can tell you what, I've spent a lot of time at country tracks growing up. My parents are there at Dubbo anytime the race meets are on. We are, Forbes, parks, everywhere. The races are so sensational out there. But what's the feeling on the ground among the punters, among the local communities that are getting behind these country concepts?
Julia, I think our midweek racing crowds have dropped off, but you go to some of the little meets like Hay in New South Wales and, Binnaways and those little community meetings, and you can't move. They get 3,000, 4,000 or 5,000 people to those country meetings on the weekends. They're good. Obviously, people have got work commitments during the week. And the punters want to bet 7 days a week, so obviously we've got to deliver a product to them 7 days a week. But getting back to what you said, you go to Dubbo Cup and the girls are dressed up and, the queues to get a drink. And I went to Golgong Cup, and I reckon the straight's about a furlong and a half, and the line up to get a beer was about 2 furlongs. It was crazy, the people that were there. The community meetings are really thriving. They're really good.
Yeah, well, I was at Scone during the week, spent some time with John Massara, wonderful, wonderful man, great friend at Arrowfield, and also went down into town and had a feed at the Thoroughbred, had a couple of schooners and some hot chicken wings, mate. And we're hearing that there's a birthday party for you. So what's going on? Happy birthday from all of us.
21 again.
Bit of a celebration, 25, mate.
Yeah, actually, but 2 of them and a little bit more.
Yeah, well, I think you and I are about exactly the same. But you've got a bit of a celebration of the balloons on the front gate yet?
Yeah, no, we've got a little bit of an event tonight in Sydney, so we'll be there. We're just trying to organise a bit of food. Paul Massara, he's coming and he likes his food, so we're just backing a ute back up here with a bit of food for him.
Yeah,
sit down with Massaras. Did you get a fright? How fast do they eat?
Oh, don't worry.
He can hold his own.
Being one of 5 boys and 1 girl, half leb from Guildford, mate, I went toe-to-toe with him. The charcuterie plate went in about a flash. Oh, good to see you, mate. Happy birthday, brother, and congratulations on everything that you've achieved and all the best going forward.
Just before I go, you talk about dreams. This was one of the first little presents that arrived. I don't know if you can see it there.
Oh, have a look at that. Straight on the wall.
Hey, how good's that? That's from my cousins last night. Just wanted to shave the jowls a bit. They didn't pencil me in very thin. They put me in a bit bigger figure than I am.
Well, get him to shoot high. Always shoot high. Takes the chins out. And I learnt that a long time ago. That is going straight to the pool room. Good on you, Brett.
Thanks, Brett.
See you guys. Bye.
All right, we'll get your pen and paper out. Resident tipster Brad Gray is back with his best bets for a big day of racing. You are watching Racing Dreams.
Great to have your company on Racing Dreams. Well, big news a couple of weeks ago. Big friend of this show, Racing Dreams, of course, is Peter McGorran. Now, he was a former minister in the Howard government, massive when it comes to thoroughbred racing, and he's just taken the role as chairman of the Australian Turf Club. And I had a quick chat with Pete after the running of the shorts last week at Randwick.
Eduardo in front, but Nature Strip getting on terms now. Here comes the champ, Nature Strip, taking the lead from Eduardo, clear from Lost and Running, and Nature Strip back on target to defend his Everest title.
I'd send chills up your spine, but in actual fact, before the race, Tim, you didn't know where to look. There were magnificent horses, and it was a dress rehearsal, obviously, for the Everest. But Nature Strip is an extraordinary animal, but there are plenty of other extraordinary animals also in that race and will now progress to the Everest. This is thoroughbred racing at its best.
There wouldn't be a sport with the richness of storytelling quite like thoroughbred racing.
Agreed, and it's a sport for all comers, all participants, and thankfully in the modern era with syndication and joint ownership, there's an entry point for everybody. Some of the sort of racing clubs will allow you in at less than $100. So dreams come true. You shouldn't enter a race course or buy a horse unless you do have a dream.
And Racing New South Wales, some wonderful initiatives.
Oh, absolutely. And the truth is that the Spring Carnival for Sydney, which is now rivals Victoria and anything across the world, can't be done without Racing New South Wales innovation, their race planning, their strategy, their marketing, plus their prize money. So the Australian Turf Club is a very willing and whole partner with Racing New South Wales. And in turn, Racing New South Wales will bring the rest of New South Wales along with it. And so it's not just metropolitan racing. There's country and provincial horses competing for hundreds of thousands of dollars in every race.
A great initiative, the big dance and the little dance. We've seen our country people, our regional people go through so much, so fantastic for racing outside the big cities.
And also in country meetings and in the provincial racetracks, you'll see famous owners' colours running around because they don't discard horses. They'll send them to country trainers because through those country trainers and provincial trainers, they can now race at Randwick and Rose Hill and Warwick Farm for big money for those specially allocated races. We're seeing the best of the best horses, the best trainers, the best jockeys, and we all want to be part of it, and that's the dream.
Yeah, that's the racing dream.
The racing dream. Well, the Sydney Everest Carnival is well and truly underway, and with so many entertainment and hospitality options, race days and prize money on offer, it takes an army to bring it all together. And I'm reading the intro from the last story. That's how much attention I've been paying.
No, what you're doing is you're just plugging how good the carnival is. You're plugging how wonderful the carnival is, which it is.
Is that
and the guy that is all over it like a cheap suit, and he never wears cheap suits, of course. Sometimes he doesn't wear pants, but he never wears a cheap suit. How are you, Brad? And look, big win by Coolangatta last night. Could it have Everest implications? I know we're talking about the Moir Stakes at the Valley.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Maybe, yeah. Well, we have seen the Moir Stakes provide plenty of runners for the Tab Everest in the past, so what's not to say that this year's going to be any different to that? Coolangatta, of course, was a bit too slick there over the short course distance, found the front. It was a meeting where it was favoured, those horses making their own luck on speed, as we so often see with Moonee Valley. Will she get a high-pressure 1,200 metres come Everest Day? I guess that remains to be seen, but we've got to fill these remaining spots, don't we? Rothfire, did he do enough? He didn't have a lot of luck. And then you've got Palele, who, of course, could very well fit into that Godolphin slot. So, as I've said over the past couple of weeks, there's still so much to play out, and there's every chance we won't know this final field until a couple of days beforehand.
Of course, 6 slots remaining, 3 weeks to go, and no Classique legend this year either.
Yeah, time's ticking, isn't it, for a few of these slot holders that might be getting a bit nervous, but unfortunately the big grey won't be there. It was well documented what happened to him. First up, he was below his best. He pulled up lame, so Lesbridge pulled up stumps, and fingers crossed we still get to see him back Tab Everest picture maybe in 12 months' time. We're just going to be a little bit patient.
Golden Pendant, what do you think today?
Yeah, so Golden Pendant is a race for the mares, of course. I've gone the way of Star Tontes there for Rob Heathcote. Now, she doesn't have a lot of tactical speed, so it's heart in your mouth stuff. She'll get back in the field, but she does have a huge finish. Now, I've gone the fillies way as well, guys, in the Golden Rose. The big one today, the Group 1 for the 3-year-olds. I've gone the way of She's Extreme, though. I know that In Secret is the favourite. She's entitled to be, but I tell you what, $9, $10, that's pretty appealing for She's Extreme. She was a gun 2-year-old. I think the fillies have the wood on the colts, a dry track, a wet track, it doesn't matter with her, and she's got that versatility to probably just park in behind the speed. So the last time I looked, I think she was $9, and I think you have something on her each way.
There is a little bit of rain around, so might be some showers around this afternoon. Do you think, just extending on what you've just said, that we've got 4 fillies in this year's race? A filly hasn't won this race since 2008. Do you think it is an option today that a filly could take it out?
Certainly, yeah, I think so. We saw at 2 that this crop, the fillies were so far superior to the colts and geldings, and we've just been waiting for one of these colts to jump out of the ground at 3. They haven't really done that. Best of Bordeaux, of course, opted for the Heritage Stakes. Now he's been scratched from that particular race. So maybe a Jacquinot could be the flag bearer for the colts coming up from Melbourne. But I think the likes of She's Extreme, In Secret, they find themselves. Fireburn probably wanted a wetter surface today, and she's drawn a horrible barrier, so she's going to give away a big head start. But I'd be very surprised if the fillies don't put up their hand again. So if you are playing your exotics in the Golden Rose, don't look any further than the filly, She's Extreme and In Secret. Yeah, I've had a look at Jacquinot. That's where my money is, Mick Price and Michael Kent Jr. And the track looks good draw, so it'd be interesting. Look, it's going to be a cracking race. What about race 9, the Shannon Stakes? Yeah, Shannon Stakes. So I've gone the way of Surf Dancer for Gai Waterhouse and Adrian Bott. Now he's got no weight on his back. He'll roll forward. I think a dry track is key to him. I know a lot of us, including myself, were kind of looking towards those wet trackers earlier in the week. We play roulette as tipsters every week with this weather forecast, but so far so good. And we're on the better side of a soft 5. So you're looking for those horses that probably want to get on top of the ground, and he is one of those. Surf Dancer, make your own luck, hard to catch, and he's got that Gai Waterhouse and Adrian Bott polish. All right, let's roll the graphic very quickly. Your roughies and your best bets of the day. All right, we're going a little bit wide here, so I've gone a little bit Larry with my best bet. Race 3, Quality Time. I think it is around that $6.50, $7 price. I don't think you can go too far wrong following him. Yes, he only won a midweek race last time out, but he's down in the weights. Just camps in behind the speed. Chris Waller, I think there's a nice sense of timing about him. A couple of roughies, one early in the day and one in the lucky last. Race 2, Verbeck. I can only see him running well. He was an eye catcher there first up. Drawn better today. And we get to see Blake Shin back in Sydney. And race 10, A Very Fine Red. I know myself, I'm a bit guilty of trying to find a very fine red. And Tim, I think you're in a similar boat. Absolutely. Life's too short not to drink it. Good on you, Brad. Thanks, guys. Hopefully we can find a winner. Absolutely. And thank you to our great sponsors, of course, Racing New South Wales, Arrowfield and PointsBet. What a weekend of sport we have coming up, Timmy. Absolutely. Enjoy it. See you next week. See ya.